Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashpraesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakta Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So, all right. So, we are continuing our discussion. We are now on the 28th verse. Ete cham sakalapam saha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. All the above mentioned incarnations, iti, all this, cha, and amsha, and the plenary portions. All the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets wherever there is a disturbance created by the atheist. The Lord incarnates Mridyanti to give pleasure, Yuge Yuge, in different ages. So we'll go through, I made a little slide deck. We'll go with that. I've included the questions asked by different acharyas in regards to this discussion. And then we'll take a look at Prabhupada's purport here. So presentation, yeah. So the very first question which is raised by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, are all these avatars equal or are they graded? Now Sutta Goswami answers in this particular verse, well, they are not equal, they are in fact graded. Why is then Krishna counted amongst avatars? And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur gives an answer for this. Let me pull out Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. This is 28. Yes. Then why is Krishna is counted among the avatars? Then Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes in his commentary, because he appears in Mathura and other places situated on the earth planet, performing pastimes like a human. What is the word avatar? Avatar means to descend. So therefore, Krishna also descends. Therefore, is also called as an avatara in that context. He appears to show mercy to the people of the material world, and he appears and disappears. The only difference is his appearance is not dictated or not happens through Shirodaksha Vishnu like for other avatars. He appears directly. That's the difference which Acharya establishes here. Okay, going back to this. Next comment. Where is that slide? Yeah. So next question which is raised, but how can you establish that Krishna is a complete form of Godhead? On the basis of this one statement, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, there are countless statements which refute this. I quoted something from Mahabharata about Narnarayan Rishi. In fact, Bhagavatam says so. For example, this is mentioned 10th canto, 1st chapter, verse number 2. Yaduscha dharmashilasya nitaram muni sattamaha tatra amshena avtarinasya vishnur viryani samshanha to avtirnaha amsha Vishnu. O best of the munis, you have described the descendants of Yadu, who were very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Second line. Now, if you will kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of the expansion of Lord Vishnu. Tatra amshena avatirnasya Vishnu, of whose expansion of Vishnu, who appeared in the Yadu dynasty. This is mentioned in the 10th canto. Then there are other verses like this. O Mother Devki, by your good fortune and ours, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, as an expansion, is now within your womb. Therefore, you need not fear Kamsa, who has decided to be killed by the Lord. Your eternal son Krishna will be the protector of entire Yadu dynasty. And then this is from the 4th canto. This is about Nar Narayan Rishi. That Nar Narayan Rishi, whose a partial expansion is Krishna, has now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the forms of Krishna and Arjuna, respectively, to mitigate the burden of the Lord. So, just a little disclaimer about now, when you read this statement, first of all, we have to understand who is speaking this statement. Because here, when a question is raised to a speaker, the speaker is, relating a conversation that happened in so and so time. For example, one of the previous statements, these are not the statements which have been spoken by the devotees necessarily. Just like one of the statements in this, these are spoken by the residents of Vrindavan. Anyways, they didn't knew about Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that context. So, anyways, there could be at times such kind of statements. So, when it comes to Vedic scriptures, the statements given there can be at times very confusing. So, therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha, he talks about the concept called as Paribhasha Sutra. And he quotes there as follows. Paribhasha hi eka deshastha sakalam shastram abhiprakasyati yatha Vishma Pradipaha. So this Paribhasha Sutra acts as just like you can say, if you go to an ocean bank, you will see those lighthouses, which acts as showing direction to the lost ships in the darkness of the night in the ocean, because then it's all water around. But the lighthouse gives them the direction where to go. Or lighthouse gives an indication, well, there is a bank behind. So like that Paribhasha Sutra, the verse which is identified by the acharyas in the scriptures gives us an understanding of how to survey rest of the scripture. So on 18,000 verses, when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, what is that? The subject matter which establishes the connection between all these 18,000 verses, that precisely called as Paribhasha. So Paribhasha statement, situated in one place, lights up the whole scripture, just as a lamp lights up the whole house. These are some of the definition given by Srila Jiva Goswami. He says, the Paribhasha statement situated in one place lights up the whole scripture. This sutra appears once in the work and is not continually repeated. Though there are millions of statements in the scripture, this sutra controls them all like a king, which means that we have to understand everything in relationship to this particular statement. Then only we can understand. Thus, statements which contradicts the sutra must be explained so that they agree with the sutra. That is because these contrary statements are weak, since they belong to secondary subjects in the work, and because the sutra statement is strong, being supported by Shruti. I'll come to Shruti in a short while. Thus, these statements should be harmonized with the sutra by giving them another meaning according to the rule. This is the rule of studying scriptures, Paribhasha Sutra. So there could be a contradictory statement, but we have to understand based on Etacham Sakalapamsa. We can think of many examples. Let's talk about what is that? Dasha Avatar Stotra. All of you have heard of Dasha Avatar Stotra. It talks about 10 incarnation. Which number of incarnation is Krishna in Dasha Avatar Stotra? 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. In Dasha Avatar Stotra, Keshav Dhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hari. O Keshava, O Lord Hari, you appeared as Lord Nasimha. O Lord Hari, O Keshava, you appeared as Lord Matsya, Lord Vamana, Lord Rama. So you see that Dashavata Stotra that talks about, O Keshava, O Lord Hari, you appeared, you manifested like that. All right. Let's go to Bhagavad Gita. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if you ever thought about it. Uh, Madhusudan, right? Krishna is many times, if you just kind of do a Veda base, go the search for word Madhusudan in Bhagavad Gita, you'll find Arjuna repeatedly mentions Krishna as Madhusudan. So here's my question to all of you. Where are you? Uh, when did Krishna kill the demon by the name of Madhusudan? In Vrindavan Lila, when did any demon by the name of Madhusudan came? Ever? We know of Putana, we know Trinavatra, we know of Aghasur, so many other. Did was there ever a demon by the name of Madhusudan? If not, if you don't remember the demon by the name of Madhusudan, why Arjuna would keep calling Krishna, "Oh Madhusudana, oh Madhusudana"? So Madhusudana definitely was a demon, but was not killed by Krishna. Who killed him? Lord Vishnu. But why did he use there? He used in the context. You getting the understanding? Because Vishnu is nothing but an expansion of Lord Krishna. So to say Vishnu killed, which means Krishna, because Vishnu is a subset of Krishna. And he would use that word Madhusudan in the context of that, just like you destroyed Madhusudan, please destroy the doubt arising in my mind. And then you take a look at 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna requested the Lord to show the Virat Roop. Then he said, okay, why don't you show me your four-handed form? And then what did he ask? Please show me your two-handed form. I'm just talking about not technical subject, but things that we are kind of familiar, which we have heard and read about. So these are some of the things that justifies this. Let's go back to the presentation now. I'll make this statements here. Then, if you want, we can have a discussion if you have doubt on the subject matter of Paribhasha Sutra. Presentation, please. Paribhasha Sutra. Each book in Vedic literature has one or few verses that bring the conclusion of the book. All the other verses must be studied in the context of the Paribhasha Sutra if one wants to properly understand the text. We'll take a look into it. The question is, first of all, what is its application? Is there any advantage of seeing scripture from this point of view, or is there any advantage for us who are already worshipping Krishna to go into these technicalities of it and understand that yes, Krishna is the source of all? The answer is yes, and let me tell you. Before I quote the verse, I believe I made this point in the beginning of the presentation today. Because of different degrees of statements and individuals at different level of their spiritual realization, at times not having the complete realization, they misconstrue or they misunderstand scriptures. And there is one common misunderstanding in this in our Bharat Bhumi, which is prevalent all around, that Krishna has appeared from Vishnu. We all had thought of it like this. In fact, we never knew before reading Prabhupada's book that there are three Vishnus. Karana Daksha, Garbha Daksha, Shiro Daksha Vishnu. We just saw there is one Vishnu like that. And why this misunderstanding arises? This misunderstanding arises because of certain verses found in Bhagavatam, Mahabharata and Vishnu Puran, which are improperly interpreted. I like to give you one of that verse, which is improperly interpreted. This is from 2nd Canto, 7th chapter, verse number 26. Let's take a look at the verse. I have highlighted the words, Sanskrit word, and we'll take a look at it. Bhume suretara varutha vimarditatayaha klesha vayaya kalaya sita krishna keshaha jata karishyati jananupalakshya margaha कर्माणि चात्मा महिमोपनि बंधनानि. So, Bhumi Suretara Varutha Vimaraditaya. So, when the land became overburdened by, essays, the fighting strength of kings who had no faith in God, Klesha Vyaya. Klesha, which means everyone there was fighting going on, there was suffering, struggles like that, there was a lot of distress. Kalya, Klesh Vyayaya. Kalya means expansion. Kalaha, like this. Just to diminish it with beautiful Sita Krishna Kesha. This is the correct translation from Prabhupada. So Kaleha means expansion. Sita Krishna Kesha. Here is not in that sense. Sita Krishna Kesha means beautiful Lord. Kesha means beautiful hairs. With beautiful black hair, let me show the pointer. With beautiful black hair, descends with his plenary portion. Kalaha. Kaleha poetically descends with his plenary portion. Who is that plenary portion? Who Krishna descends with? Balaram. So Kaleha Sita Krishna Keshaha, Lord who is beautiful, with beautiful hairs, appears along with his plenary expansion, that is Balaram. Jataha Krishyati, well, rest all is okay. Just to expand his transcendent glories, he acts extraordinarily. No one can properly estimate how great he is. How it has been translated, probably you can go and pick up what is called as our Gita Press and other, how they translated it as follows. What is the wrong interpretation? They say Kalaya refers to here, which means Krishna becomes the Kalaha, which means expansion. Expansion of whom? Vishnu. And Kesha refers to Vishnu's hairs. So the established theory is such, the storyline is Vishnu from his black hair. So how Krishna and Balaram appear in this verse, in this creation is Vishnu plucked a black hair and the white hair from his head, and the black hair was entered into the womb of mother Devaki or Yashoda, and the white hair entered the womb of Rohini. From that Rohini womb came Balaram, and from the womb of Devaki or Yashoda came Krishna. Anyone if you have heard it? So among the philosophical society, among the learned scholars, this is the understanding where they say Krishna is a expansion of Vishnu, and this is the wrong interpretation. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings who have no faith in God, just to diminish the distress of the world, a black and white hair of the Lord. Now, यहाँ पे कहाँ पे black and white लिखा है? Now, why this verse has been translated like this? Because this has been seen from the lens. Because misinterpretation has been going from Vishnu Purana. I don't have the verse of Vishnu Purana here right now. So from that point of view, the author is now commenting saying that Kesha means has to be here, which is okay, fine. But where is black and white mentioned in the verse? So black and white has been added. A black and a white hair of the Lord incarnate on the earth. Who is the Lord here? Vishnu. Again from the background of Vishnu Purana. So a black and white hair incarnate on the Lord. So that last line says okay, like this, and like so. That is the importance of Paribhasha Sutra. It acts as a lens which helps us to navigate across the hundreds and thousands of verses found in Vedic scriptures to clearly understand the meaning of it. And this is the one of the misunderstandings. Okay, this was from here. Let me just go to Vishnu Thakur commentary here. Anything else on this? Then we'll take a look into the breakup of the verse. Let's go to the breakup of the verse. Let's go to the verse. Or maybe let me just conclude this whole subject matter. Okay, let's go ahead. So what all I have discussed so far, I have discussed 3 questions, right? Let me just recap. So 3 questions I have discussed. Are all these avatars equal or are they graded? They're not equal, they're graded, of course. Why is Krishna counted amongst the avatars? Because he also appeared in this world and he performed humanly pastimes, so therefore he is also counted among the avatars. But how can you establish Krishna as a complete form on the basis of this simple statement, single statement, when there are so many other statements refuting Krishna to be the supreme, in fact saying that he is an expansion of Vishnu? Well, that is not correct. Therefore, a Paribhasha Sutra. Okay, let me put it this way. This is not only a single statement which established Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam have 18,000 verses. Now, of this 18,000 verses, I believe there are 335 chapters, of which more than 140 plus chapters are only in 10th canto and 11th canto. Of the 12th canto, 10th, 11th canto comprises more than around 140 plus or 120 plus chapters. I can be a little bit wrong with the number here. Which means 40% or more subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is only exclusively about Krishna. Now, this is a direct reference to Krishna. Well, if you go from the first canto, there is this whole, Krishna entering Dwarka, Arjuna crying in Viraha of Krishna, Parishit Maharaj going in search of Krishna. You go in across every canto. Then in the third canto, when Vidurji meets Uddhava, the Uddhava speaks about Vrindavan pastime. If you go across every canto, again there is a direct reference to Krishna. So, if Krishna is not the prime subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, if Krishna is not the Supreme Personality Godhead, when there are already so many avatars are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, why give weightage only to Krishna? To be thought about. This is how Jiva Goswami talks in Krishna Sandarbha. He gives around 12 points of it. Another point which he gives is about consistency. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Who is Vasudevaya? Srimad Bhagavatam begins with that, Lord Krishna. And here also, Sutta Goswami is declaring. And that has been spoken by Srila Vyasadeva. So there is a consistency around it. And then we'll take a look at the at the technicality of the verse. We'll come to it. But these are some of the ways. So it's not that this is the only statement which is saying that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We refer to Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna showed his four-handed form and then he took his two-handed form. Let's come to next question. And the next question is Vaishnavism. Does anyone know what Vaishnavism means? What is Vaishnavism means? So we are Vaishnavas or who? So Vaishnava means those who worship Vishnu. All of you are Vaishnavas, but none of you worship Vishnu. So we should be called as Krishnaism. Vaishnavism versus Krishnaism. So any thought about it? Why we call as Vaishnavas? But none of us are worshipping Vishnu. Just like I often quote this example of Tulsi prayer, isn't it? So the idea is traditionally, it will become a little voluminous subject matter. I'll not go into too much detail, but just to give you quick hints about it. This is Bhautik Jagat, this is material world. People have come here, living entity have come here to become God. Which means the starting point of their consciousness, if they want to believe God exists, which means the God has to be extremely powerful, have to be opulent, have to be filled with opulences. Then only there could be some attraction, isn't it? If the Godhead is presented as Krishna, a Gwal Bal, today is Gopashtami, today onwards Krishna began to herd cows. And how much he had to haggle about herding cows with his father. If you read about all those pastimes, then anyone who have come into this creation to become God would ever accept Krishna to be God who is herding the cows or who was herding the calves until yesterday. In fact, so much so the Brahma got bewildered seeing that how can this boy can be the Param Brahman. He is not exhibiting any quality of that. So therefore, the first starting point is the opulence. And who exhibit opulence? Krishna doesn't exhibit opulence. Opulence means he does exhibit opulence of prema, but Krishna doesn't exhibit Aishwarya, the opulence of Aishwarya. Who exhibits the opulence of Aishwarya? Dwarka Krishna. Or you can say Narayan or Vishnu. So the first step in accepting God is surrender. Whom do you surrender? Whom you accept is far better, so better that he is incomparable to you. There is no comparison. Therefore, all of us Shruti Shastras, they do not speak, hardly they will speak. Of course, Prabhupada gives in second canto, when Bhagavanu Vacha, the very first verse comes, Prabhupada quotes many Shruti Shastras explaining that how they also address Krishna. But largely, all our scriptures, Shruti scriptures particularly, will address Vishnu or Narayan. Not even Narayan, particularly Vishnu. Because that forms the... So, is that getting the point? Now, let me speak from the point of view of the scholars. Particularly scholars who... Let's talk about Bhagavad Gita. How did Prabhupada presented Bhagavad Gita, and how do scholars present Bhagavad Gita? What is understanding of scholars when they read Bhagavad Gita? What is the most attractive feature for scholars from Bhagavad Gita, and what was the most attractive feature for Krishna from Bhagavad Gita? For the scholars, the most attractive feature from Bhagavad Gita is chapter 11, Virat Roop. They're like, wow, amazing. When it comes to Prabhupada, the most amazing part is Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskar. Serve me. But for the scholars, that awe and reverence, that's the difference. So that's the reason Vishnu is largely mentioned. When somebody who has at least come to the level of understanding there is God, there is somebody supreme, then eventually he can be introduced to the sweetness of Krishna, because Krishna represents not the Aishwarya, but he represents the opulence of sweetness. Then you can accept, oh, this Gwala is God. This cowherd boy can also be God, can in fact be the Supreme Personality Godhead. And for them, we have to go through a lot of purification of heart. Avajananti ma mudha manasham tanu mashrita. Foolish person cannot understand. Duryodhan could not accept. When Krishna came, you all recently performed Mahabharata pastime, or Mahabharata drama, isn't it? When Krishna came as a messenger, what did Duryodhana said? Hey, this coward boy, what is this? I mean, Krishna, despite becoming the head of Dwarka, of course, he was not the king. He had Surasen sit at the position, but nonetheless, Krishna was the decision maker. Despite being the king now, Duryodhana did not accept him as a Kshatriya. What he said? Hey, this is Gwala. What will he do? He's just a local magician. So, like that, unless that opulence, unless we accept that. So, it's not that Krishna depends on his divinity on Vishnu, but a Jivatma, for his progress of faith, he depends on the exhibition of opulences. And therefore, Vaishnavism is not Krishnaism. Krishna is known as Madhusudana. I've already explained about it. And Dashavata Stotra also have explained Keshavadrita. So Jayadev Goswami is saying, oh Lord Krishna, you appeared in this incarnation. And that is a point we mentioned here. So this is the subject matter. Keshavadrita, and this is the last verse. Keshavadrit, not last word, last stanza of Jayadev Goswami writing, where he says, Keshavadrita Dashavidha Rupa Jai Jagadish Hari. Oh my dear Lord Hari, oh Keshava, oh Krishna, you appeared in this different incarnation, the 10 I have listed or mentioned. Okay, let's take a look at, I wanted to also give you a little bit of line by line meaning of this. I could have written it anyways. I'll just speak out. I don't have that on my slide. I'll speak out. Let's take a look at the verse also. Ete, all these what have been explained. Cha. Here, Jiva Goswami, while describing this verse in his Krishna Sandarbha, he says, Cha refers to all those which have not been mentioned also. And which have not been mentioned, everything. Ete cha amsha. Amsha means plenary portion, fully powerful expression of the Supreme Lord. That called amsha. And then kalaha. Kalaha means which are expanded portions of the plenary portions, who are relatively less powerful. So amsha and kala. Ete cha amsha. So, which is Vishnu incarnations, you can say that, Chaturvyu and all that, and then Kala refers to, you can say, avatars like that, expanded portion. In addition, there are other varieties of incarnations such as Shakti-avish, that, Gunavatar, Yugavatar. All these incarnations, they come from whom? Pumsaha. Where did you study about what Pumsaha? Go to the first word, read out the first line. Paurusham was mentioned. Paurusham and Pumsaha has the same meaning. Purushaha. So Pumsaha. So that's the meaning here. The Purusha Avatara form of the Lord. Purushaha. Text one was mentioning Jagre Paurusham Rupam. So Lord had expanded and accepted the form of the first Purusha Avatara. So Pumsa means Shirodaksha Vishnu, from whom all these different incarnation avatars manifest. Krishna's tu. Carries a carries a weightage. But Jiva Goswami gives an example. He says, well, all of you are wonderful archer, but Lord Ram is the best of the archer. Oh, all of you might have won the election, but Narendra Modi is the prime minister. you know, you may be settled at your 90 seat or whatever number of seat, but who is the prime minister? So Krishna's too, but Krishna, when it comes about Krishna, Bhagavan, he is Bhagavan. Not only Bhagavan, Swayam. He is that Param Brahman, or Para Brahman, like that. That's the meaning of the first two line. Krishna's too, everyone have manifested from the Krishna's tu Bhagavan. Everyone is an, yeah, that's the point. All right. Now the second half, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridyanti Yuge Yuge. Now this last two lines are similar to Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glani Bhavati Bharata. What are the last two lines? Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. Whenever there are crises in this creation, Indra Dev, that how the Devtas is disturbed, Mridyanti Yuge, then I appear. Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glani Bhavati Bharata. So to this, Srila Jiva Goswami says, this describes the generic purpose for the appearance of avatar. Why avatar comes? This is the generic job profile of an avatar. This is almost 50 plus verses. It starts somewhere on 33 and goes up to not 50, almost 70 verses, 102 or 105. Srila Jiva Goswami have gone a lot of details about it. Okay, I'm just looking through those verses if anything has to be mentioned. Reading Anucheda 75 by Jiva Goswami, he says, he compares the Bhagavatam text, 18,000 verses to an army, and Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam to the king, who is the general of that army. In this way, Jiva Goswami writes, I have described the army of Srimad Bhagavatam and its commander. Fine, this is the subject matter of this 1.3.28. Now, however, if you want to look into more analysis, we looked into more philosophical analysis here and logical analysis. There is another analysis called as grammatical analysis that is done by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. What does he call as? Subject and predicate. Nitai Gaur Haribol, all the best पढ़ते रहना आप लोग. That's this is subject, this is predicate. आपके सारे predicaments खत्म हो जाएंगे वो पढ़ के. All right. He goes in further details, a lot of details about subject predicate, and he talks about it. I'm not going to talk about all those things here. All right. Let's come to the text number 29, the Falashruti. Oh, what about Prabhupada Puppet? Prabhupada Puppet talks about this only. Avtaras, we have discussed about it. Prabhupada then speaks about different avatars, how they come for different purpose. Then Prabhupada goes Adi Leela, about Krishna's expansion, Swayam Roop, Swayam Prakar, Tadaikatma, Prabha, Vaibhava. I've already spoke about that. Then he talks about if Krishna is 100%, what is the percent of potency in Vishnu, Brahma, Lord Shiva. That's all Prabhupada speaks on the purport. Let's go to text number 29. The Falashruti. Janma Guhyam Bhagavato Ya etat prayato naraha sayam prath ganan bhaktya dukkha grama vimuchyate. Sudha Goswami says, whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Hare Krishna. So if in case after reading it you are confused, Falashruti will make you a little pleasant. Understand or not understand, at least repeat. So you'll be relieved from all the suffering. Let's cover 4 more verses. Anyone has any question on the subject matter of Krishna to Bhagavan Swayam? Let's take some discussion, and then I'll take 4 more verses and we'll pause for here for today. Yes, Kaushal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one question that is coming into my mind from... So, we know that Krishna in his original form appears once in a day of Brahma, like in one kalpa. But for all the other 99 Dwapar Yuga, yeah, 999, 999 Dwapar Yugas, there is still a Krishna that appears, that is from Shirodaksha Vishnu, is it or not?
No, no, the Krishna appears only once. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna appear only once.
Okay, so in the okay,
Oh, see, there is also a reference of how the Divya Yuga cycle is not Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. It's Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And it's not mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, but there is a discussion amongst the learned scholars about how this particular age got changed. I don't want to go in those details of it, but nonetheless, so regarding your question, as far as it is mentioned, Krishna appears once in a day. So Krishna is not appearing other times.
no, I mean, my question was that, uh, I mean, just a thought that,
Who appears in other Dwapar Yuga?
no, my question is that the Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is specific for one Chatur Yuga, and it is different for every Chatur Yuga, or because here in this Yuga it
Srimad
is.
Bhagavatam is timeless. It is not restricted by that. To help you understand, Markandeya Rishi, when the conversation between Markandeya Rishi and Yudhishthira Maharaj happens in Mahabharata, I believe I have discussed that section also with all of you when we discussed Mahabharata. There's very interesting when Markandeya Rishi was speaking, he spoke from the previous kalpas of Brahma. So when you're talking about the sages, when it said that no past, present, future, past doesn't refer to a kalpa of Brahma. Past refers to the past, which means they know about everything that has happened with Brahma's life. So if in case, let's say, Vaivasvata Manu, and in Vaivasvata Manu, Lord Krishna appeared. So what would have happened in the sixth Manu? And if there is a discussion then, Bhagavatam will still be there as it is, because the speaker at that point of time, or Vyasdev, or whoever would have been, then would have spoken about Krishna from the previous Kalpa. You getting it? So like that.
Because I mean, I'm just thinking it is mentioned Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, so it should be relevant for throughout the time. It is, it is not relevant for any specific.
Yeah, so it's relevant, na? Because when a question is asked, then I'll tell you in the previous Kalpa, which means the previous day of Brahma, Krishna, the Lord Supreme Personality Godhead, appeared and he performed all the pastimes. He did Vrindavan Leela, he did Mathura Leela, he did Dwarka Leela.
Correct.
How does it matter? Like that. There are avatars which I have not mentioned, which have not appeared in our time frame. Let's say in our Divya Yuga, which have appeared in previous Divya Yugas. So do we accept them or not in that way? That's like that. Fine. Okay. Anadi Anshuman Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, a few questions on the incarnations that we just discussed in the previous few verses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first question is like, sometimes we say that from Karanodakshay Vishnu, the different universes manifest. But sometimes we say that from Karanodakshay Vishnu, the Mahat Tattva came, and then through the vision of, or through the sight of Karanodakshay Vishnu, the Mahat Tattva got activated and different universes manifested within the Mahat Tattva. So what would be the right understanding of this?
Third canto will offer the right understanding. Let's hold on for that. Let's move to the next question.
Okay. The next is, so here, like what was explained, it seems like from Karanodakshay Vishnu came the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and from Garbhodakshay Vishnu manifested the Shirodakshay Vishnu. At certain places, I kind of saw written that from Mahasankarshan, Mahavishnu came, and from Mahasankarshan itself, Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu came. So, like,
yeah, it's something like it's something like all the avatars are coming from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, because Shirodaksha Vishnu is a subset of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So it is fine to say that all appear from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and Mahavishnu have come from Mahasankarshan, and from Mahavishnu, if in case it is said expansion is of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, it's safe to say that Garbhodaksha Vishnu came from Mahasankarshan. Getting it in that way? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And the next question is that, like, Shiva, we kind of sometimes say that Shiva is actually the vision of Mahavishnu on the Mahatattva, and through Shiva the Mahatattva gets activated and so on. But in the purport of the verse, Prabhupada also said that Shiva came from Brahma.
Correct.
So and that is a popular conception as well, that
Which is true.
Shiva came from. So out of the two, like, which is the right
Both are
way
right.
to understand?
Both are correct. So Shiva, that Shiva, which is called as a glance, which had a union with Prakriti, Parvati, that is called as Shambhu. And that Shiva is what we worship in the Shivling, in the form of Shivling. We don't worship the Shiva who appeared through Brahma. That is called as Rudras. There are 11 forms of them. Who you worship is Shambhu, uh, through whom the creation occurred. Therefore, Lord Shiva does not have any form in this creation. Now, these days we may draw Lord Shiva in a certain way and all that. But if you see, if you go to any ancient temple of Lord Shiva, you'll only find Shivling, which means beyond this material creation, beyond this universe. And that is Shambhu who united with Prakriti. Now, how do you worship? Because there is no clarity on the form of Lord Shiva. Therefore, Lord Shiva has been worshipped in the form of a linga. You understand linga in Hindi, right? So that indicates, if you see Shivling, I've spoken at length about Lord Shiva and about this. You see Lord Shiva, the way the Shivling is, it shows the union. It shows the union, and that's how it is. The Lord Shiva is worshipped. There's a Shivling and there is a Yoni, so that is being shown like that. So that thing represents the glance of Mahavishnu and the union of Prakriti, Shambhu and Prakriti. And that's what is worshipped. And that's how
So
Lord Shiva becomes the creator. Why Lord Shiva's subject matter becomes very tricky? There is Shiva who is beyond this creation, situated right at the onset of the spiritual world. Then we have Shambhu. Then we have Rudra. Now, Vishnu and Krishna, we can still make some distinction. But when you go through with this subject matter of Shiva, it becomes extremely confusing because the words have been interchangeably used and you don't know who is being mentioned here at this point of time. Now, the Lord Shiva, which we will read about, Shiva getting married to Sati, who we call Shiva at that point in time, that is Brahma's son. But Mahavishnu, glance, that is not Brahma's son. So you can say in this way there are multiple representation or multiple manifestation of Lord Shiva. Who dances? Nataraj, that is Brahma's son, because he's within the creation. Like that. But whom you go and worship in the temple, I believe, is a little different than you know, that represents something else. Okay.
yes, Prabhu. And last is like in a kalpa of Brahma,
So if
we
somebody
show
says
14.
Lord Shiva is the creator, yes, material universe is created by him only. It is not wrong, but have the complete picture. Just like I'll tell you, again among the learned society who are Sanatanis, who are learned in scriptures and all that, actually we are very fortunate where Prabhupada gave us the essence of all, so we don't have to get confused. When people read what all scriptures, Brahmanda Puran, this Puran, that Puran, so people will write at length about that how Brahmaji is a creator. Brahmaji appeared on the lotus in the ocean, and then he began the creation. He did tapasya and began the creation. But they have no understanding the lotus came from where. They will not mention, or they have no understanding. I'm not saying they're intentionally skipping it from wherever, whichever text they picked it up. That probably doesn't have that information. That the lotus came from where, or maybe everyone have their own vision set. So even if that is mentioned, but they will not see it, they'll skip it like that. Fine. Anything else? Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, Prabhu. The last one being, thank you for that explanation. So the last question being, in a kalpa, we show that it consists of 14 manus and 15 sandhyas. Now, given that this is a cycle, didn't even get to understand. Given that sandhyas come between the different manus, So shouldn't there ideally be 14 sandhyas and not 15? Because the next sandhya, like maybe the sandhya before the 14 manus or after the 14 manus, should get counted in the next cycle.
Valid question. You can forward this request to Lord Vishnu. Looks like there is a technical glitch in your system, or maybe you can inform Brahmaji. Some minor correction has to be made in your kalpa. I have nothing to say. I don't know what to say about this technical thing. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Venuvadan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavot Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhu, actually, this is Karnodakasai Vishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and then Kshirodakasai Vishnu. So, Kshirodakasai Vishnu is entering into the all living beings or non-living beings also. That means every atom of the universe is entering or only entering in the living beings.
Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. You can read 9th chapter verse 4th and verse 5th. This is called as achantya bhed abhed tattva. To say that it is 1 and 0 is not correct. To say that the Lord is present within us as Paramatma, and similarly Bhagavatam says Lord is present in every atom, doesn't mean the Paramatma resides there. But we should not forget, Bhumir apunalo vayu kamanu buddhirevacha ankarityamte binna prakriti rashtada. Krishna, these are my energies. What you call as matter is also my energy. So when Krishna says, Maya tatam idam savam jagat avyakta murtinaha masthani sarvabhutani na chaham tesho avastitaha. All the living entities are in me, but I am not in them. And in the 5th verse, he says, I'm in them also. So it is not a subject matter which we can easily comprehend. And of course, we cannot everything comprehend. We cannot really understand how Krishna functions, how Lord functions in terms of his energies. So yes, he is there and he's also not there. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Ram Prasad Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have a question. When for each universe, do we have different Brahma? Do we have different Shiva as well? Prabhu?
Yes. Brahmaji creates. Lord Shiva is born.
Different. So Shambhu is also different for each universe. Prabhu?
Well, that's not like
Lord
that. Mahatattva is a total aggregate of the whole creation. Mahatattva is not separate for each universe. And by the combination of
So
Shambhu,
each universe is a replica.
no, not like each universe is a replica. You can see it this way. I'm just kind of making up an example. Hopefully, you would clarify this. Just like mother giving a birth to a twin or a quadruple, with a one act of union, mother giving birth to multiple kids. Similarly, Shambhu and Prakriti, and then creating multiple universes in that way. That's a point. And for that, every universe, just like even a child is born as a twin, each of them differ in their own psychophysical nature. So, although the universe has been created, but they're not identical. They all are unique and different. And therefore, we know of that in this creation we have Brahma of 4 heads, in another creation Brahma is of 8 heads and multiple heads, and different. Not much, at least Bhagavatam speaks about how other universes looks like. I guess that could have had a maddening effect on all of us. We are struggling to understand this universe. And imagine Bhagavatam has to speak about what's happening with Brahma's universe, which have 1,000 heads. So what would have happened to us? So Bhagavatam doesn't speak about it, but that's how it works out. Fine?
So this Bhagavatam is for our universe or is universally for all universes?
Well, it's nowhere it is mentioned like this, but it is spoken here in this creation, this universe. It was meant for this universe because other universes have their own
And,
different parameters and different qualities. So for that, they would be, different versions of
so,
Bhagavatam.
but
Just
Dharma says
like Mahabharat, what is it of 1 lakh verses here on the heavenly planets that is far much more documented. because people have capacity to read further and understand further. Similarly, it's said for Ramayana also. We have 24,000 verses for us here. And the heavenly planets and the higher dimensions, Ramayana have more voluminous, have more text. Fine. We're talking about multiverse concept now.
So,
The modern day multiverse. So now question would be, is it something our replica also exists in another world? And can this replica can move from one universe to another across the time? I don't know. But how many of you know multiverse concept? Anyone of you have studied? It's a pretty interesting. And if you correlate with Bhagavatam, it makes so much sense. Multiverse. It's right coming from what Bhagavatam is speaking about it. Right now, multiverse is in theory, but it has become a kind of in vogue. Or people have got to know largely because of movies. Sci-fi movies have been made on that. Interstellar was one of it, if I'm correct. Right? Interstellar was one of the first movie. Super duper hit. So hit, nobody understood what the movie was about. I mean, I didn't see it at that point of time. Many years ago, recently, last year or something, I was reading about it when I was studying about multiverse. That was the first thing came upon it. So then I watched this, short reviews. So the one who made the video was explaining the how movie was complex. Nobody understood. And he was wondering, even did the director understood what did he made? It was complexity of multiverse like that. So that's what he was mentioning about it. So I saw that. I was also confused and amazed, at least at the sense of creativity that was required to create something like that. Such a complex scenario. And to have a hope people will appreciate. Because nobody understands. I don't know what did they like in the movie. Anyways. All right, Ramprasad, too.
yes, Prabhu, I have 2 more questions, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
So can I? Yeah, Prabhu, I heard that the avatars are roles of job profiles, something like that. So, but Krishnastu Swayam Bhagavan. So Krishna is the original Paramatma spirit, supreme person. But the avatars are roles of the jobs. Is that how?
No, not like that. Idea is even when Krishna appears, he has a purpose to be fulfilled, which only he can fulfill. Now Krishna appeared, he had Ras Leela. Lord Ram didn't do that. Now Krishna appeared, he played with Gopas. He stole butter. Lord Narasimha didn't do that. You're getting it, na? So each one of them have a particular purpose to fulfill, like that. What else?
With Sadashiva and Lord Shiva, each universe is having Lord Shiva, but Sadashiva is in above the creation.
Correct.
So, what is different?
Correct.
So from Sadashiva, Mahavishnu came, or is it
From Sadashiva, Mahavishnu came. No. From Sankarshan, expanded, Mahavishnu came, and from that Sankarshan, Sadashiv. And from that Sadashiv, then Rudra. That Sadashiv manifested in this creation as Rudra.
So Rudra, Shiva, and Sadashiva. Is there any correlation?
Shambhu, Ashutosh, you keep naming it. So there are so many names. I mean, what's your precise question? I'm getting confused here.
So Sadashiva and Lord Shiva. So when the universe annihilates,
I guess I already clarified that Lord Shiva's subject matter is so complex. I already clarified that, I believe, to another devotee. Lord Shiva's subject matter is so complex, it's not so easy to decode unless we have this basic understanding, the understanding of who Sadashiv is, what Shambhu is, and who Rudra is. We cannot really discriminate and understand what scriptures are talking about. Because scriptures in general largely speaks about Lord Shiva Sati, Lord Shiva and Parvati, their pastimes. So that's not Sadashiv. But because that's a manifestation of Sadashiv, we can say like that. So that's what I can say about it. Fine?
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Vishwakan, we have a question here. Go ahead. Bolo. After that, Mother Upma.
Prabhuji, in text 5, it is mentioned that this form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnation. So this second manifestation is Garbhodaksha or Shirodaksha?
What do you think? Huh?
You said, like you mentioned Shirodaksha, but
Okay.
just wanted to confirm that whether it is Garbhodaksha or Shirodaksha.
Both are correct. So first Purusha, if you see that way as Mahavishnu, the second Purusha becomes Garbhodaksha. And if you say the first Purusha is Garbhodaksha, second Purusha becomes Shirodaksha. Either way, incarnation comes from Shirodaksha, also comes from Garbhodaksha, because Shirodaksha comes from Garbhodaksha. And Garbhodaksha comes from Mahavishnu, so all comes from Mahavishnu. Ultimately, they all come from Krishna, so everyone comes from Krishna. Why are you getting caught up in word jugglery here? Right? Mother Upma, yes. Can you unmute? Yes.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी प्रभु जी मेरा क्वेश्चन आज का there is a statement that you said related to Dattatreya appearance, right? So in the Atri Muni prayed only Bhagwan Bhagwan Bhagwan, right? And all three appeared,
Yes.
right? So first, my question is if all three can appear by just saying Bhagwan, so why it is very important to know one specific one?
Okay, you don't know the whole story. That's the reason you're thinking like that. Because the Devtas went to them. There is this Muni doing tapasya. He's causing trouble. Please go and pacify. And the Devtas also didn't know whom to go because he was not addressing somebody particularly. So they went to all three. Now all three said, okay, let us come. Okay.
Okay, it was like that. Why I'm saying because usually in Vedic culture we still talk about polytheistic or monotheistic theory, but in other religions they believe in only monotheistic theories, right?
Correct.
And they don't know who is actually this person is, but they call them just God or whatever, right?
Correct.
So in this perspective, if we say if this is one God and they don't even know the name,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
there is one God, we also know the name. So whether they are right in their approach or not,
Well, right or wrong
because they
is,
are
how, you know, the spiritual knowledge is revealed according to time, place, and circumstance. As far as Abrahamic religion, I don't know how much divinity is involved, but man-made philosophies and theories are a lot in action over there. What is their hope and what's their goal, God only knows about it. But those who are genuine practitioners, even if they don't know Bhagawan, but Bhagawan knows. The Lord knows. Because it's not that Paramatma as Krishna as Paramatma residing in the heart of only Sanatanis or the Hindus. He's residing in the heart of every living entity. So Lord knows about the sincerity of that individual and would guide him or her, just like He has guided all of us to come to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. So, just like Krishna says in 7th chapter, I strengthen the faith of these individuals to develop the faith on the Devtas. Because they want to worship him, so they want to worship like this. I strengthen, give them the faith. And Devan Deva Yoganti. So they go to Devta, so they'll also go to some, I don't know, black hole maybe. Or maybe, if they are good enough, maybe go to some higher planets like that. And anyways, they're not expecting anything above heavenly planet. They want Madira and Stri, that's all. ठीक है?
okay, Prabhuji.
All right. So I guess we can. Yes. Okay, just let's do the quickly verse and translation, and we'll take a look at next time. Why Virat Roop is not considered avatar? That's the next question. Because Virat Roop has not been mentioned in avatar. Text number 30 to 34 talks about Virat Roop. Etad Rupam Bhagavato hi arupasya chidatmanah maya gune virachittam mahadadibhir atmani. The conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent to adjust to the idea of the Lord having form, but factually the Lord has no material form. That's the idea. So, Prabhupada writes, the neophyte cannot conceive of anything beyond matter. The material conception of the Lord is not counted in the list of his factual forms because it's a imaginary and the material conception. It cannot be counted amongst avatars who are entirely spiritual. Text number 31. Yatha navasi megho go renurva pathivo nile evam drashtari drishyatvam Aropitam abhuddhibihi. Clouds and dust are carried. So analogy has been made. Clouds and dust are carried by the air. But less intelligent person say that the sky is cloudy. The sky is not cloudy and the air is dirty. The air is not dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conception on the spirit self. You getting the point? Now, if you see a cloud, we'll say the sky is cloudy because we see the truth from this side, from our perspective. And because we are covered by matter, so when Lord takes, or we can understand Lord only when He has a material aspect to it. That's the meaning of it. Unless that is there. Therefore, I explain about the deity worship also. Why deity worship? So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes for a neophyte, deity worship is compulsory. He cannot make progress without deity worship. And similarly, for this yogi, there is a Virat Roop. Now, what is the need for it? The need is this because so that you understand the subject matter. And therefore, this Virat Roop realization of Virat Roop worship is for neophytes. So, to them, it's been called as Abudhivi, less intelligent people. So, they required it. And a simple example is the sky is clouded, the air is dirty. The air is not dirty. You know, that air and that thing is different. That's the point here. Text number 32. Atha param yad avyaktam avyuddha gunabrahmitam adrashtashruta vastutvat sajivo yat punah bhavaha. Beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise, he could not have repeated births. So, beyond this gross form, there is a subtle form. So, what is being said? If in case gross form was everything, gross form ends after death. In our tradition, we burn to ashes. Then what? If that of gross form is the truth, how can reincarnation happen? Reincarnation happen means beyond the gross form, there is a subtle reality. In this case, the spiritual form. So behind the gross form, there is a subtle form. That subtle form is indicated as a spiritual. You're getting the point? As a gross cosmic manifestation, nice purport. As a gross cosmic manifestation is conceived as a gigantic body of the Lord, so also there is a conception of his subtle form, which is simply realized without being seen, heard, or manifested. But in fact, all these gross or subtle conceptions of the body are in relation with the living beings. The living beings has a spiritual form beyond this gross, material, or subtle psychic existence. The gross and psychic functions cease to act as soon as the living being leaves the visible gross body. In fact, we say the living being has gone away. The conclusion, the last paragraph, is that the Lord is eternally existent in his transcendental form, which is neither gross nor subtle like that of the living being. His body is never to be compared to the gross and subtle bodies of the living being. All such conceptions of God's body are imaginary. The living being has his eternal spiritual form, which is conditioned only by his material contamination. And the final verse for today, we'll end with 33. If all this form is material, for example, the Virat Roop is material, then how can we see Brahman? We are material. The Virat Roop is material. Then how can somebody who's covered over by matter can ever access Brahman, the spiritual reality? And this is a very important, beautiful verse which talks about the process of self-realization. I'll read the verse. Purport will take it next time because it requires some discussion. Yatre me sad asadrupe pratisiddhe swasamvida avidyatmani krite iti tad brahma darshanam. Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. So, how can somebody who is engrossed in matter perceive spiritual reality? Well, there is a process for it. That process is called as process of self-realization. That process of self-realization would help him raise his consciousness beyond the gross and the subtle realities. And when he's able to perceive his pure self, he's also able to perceive the spiritual form of the Lord. And like that, one can understand Brahman or Parabrahman. With that, we pause here for today. any clarification about anything, or else we pause here for today. I guess I've already taken questions. Thank you, everyone. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. We'll continue next week.